He saw me sitting down here and he brought me his toy to play. Alright, so welcome everybody. Today is Saturday. For those of you who are new to the channel or haven't caught one of the live streams before, this is what I call my Saturday weekly series. I gotta come up with a better name. You get the idea from it, but I'm gonna start doing topic-oriented more so. These are every Saturday. I leave the live streams up. Yesterday, you might have caught a 2-hour live stream. That is different. That is for every 1,000 subscribers. Kind of similar. So you get a little bit extra of me. There's only so much to go around. Ricky, Orange, David Yang, Andy M. How is it going? Ari P. We got the whole dudes. What up, dude? Is this a Q&A or are you just talking about what you want? A little bit of both. Usually I start talking about a few things and then I start answering questions in the process. So feel free to spam the chat with questions. It also helps me talk about. It also I encourage the questions because that's part of the reason I do these. But it also allows me to make video. It gives me topics for, I'll answer the question. But sometimes if it's a good question, I'll actually just film a video about it so that other people see it. Because not everyone's going to watch the live stream. A good example of that was from our conversation yesterday. I filmed a video about. I went and I pulled up some stats on why you shouldn't get a. That's what I'm looking for. Shouldn't get an unpaid internship. Not an opinion, although it obviously everything I have on here has some opinion in it. But I went and pulled up some stats to support my opinion at the end of the day. Okay, can I shoot a question about wireframing? Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised it didn't get approved. It may still be pending. What am I working on this weekend? YouTube, basically. I'm feeling a little under the weather. A little bit tired. I'm detoxing from drinking a bunch of energy drinks, and I'm trying to get back on the straight and narrow. So I've been drinking, like you'll see here, in my Super Mario cup. I have black tea. Just something to keep me functional. Congratulations to Andy M on the first job. But lately on the weekends, I've just been working on YouTube stuff. I actually really want to change that. I've been thinking about finally building a what do you call it? A store. Not necessarily for the YouTube channel, but I want to start a coding store, and I talked a little bit about that. So even though financially, capital-wise, I basically would be choosing between starting a business and buying a home. I would like to build that store in Angular 4 just as a side project before I want that. You want the 360 shirt? You better get it while it's hot, because I've been thinking about renaming the channel just to Dylan Israel. So, we'll see. There are no Coding Tutorials 360 shirts. I know a lot of people sell shirts and stuff. I don't know. I've never wanted to buy a YouTuber shirt. So I never would ever make something like that. I tend to just kind of stick with what I know. Andro Canego, if you're trying to get some wireframing done quickly, I could recommend Balsamic. That's what I use. I love it. And I couldn't recommend it more. It's intuitive, it's quick, it's great. I would start with Balsamic and just start building it out. You can get your wireframes done in Balsamic in no time. Now I do believe that it's not a free product. There may be a trial, so you can try it out And if you like it, it's like $70 a year, or for an unlimited license, it's pretty reasonably priced. That's where I would start when going with wireframing. That's my go-to tool. I really think it's probably the best on the market. It's quick, it's fast. It uses icons from Font Awesome, so it's going to look somewhat similar. They also have 2 different modes. Balsamic, like balsamic vinegar, but IQ. So BALSAMIQ, balsamic wireframes. I've never touched Figma, no. The only things that I've wireframed in is balsamic. I've also wireframed in Pencil Project, and I've also hand-drawn things. And I have for user flows used Glyphy, which is amazing for that sort of stuff. But I can't say I can't really say anything else. I can just tell you that I really like balsamic. It's always done the job for me. Recent/new viewer, really like your content, how you present. Any plans to ever develop with Python with any of its frameworks? I noticed the basics playlist. Not in the immediate future, man. Somebody just asked me if I had interest in AR and VR. And the reason I say not in the immediate future is because if I were to ever transition from web development, I would dive into blockchain, and that's something that I would. Python, I believe, is one of the languages used for Python blockchain. Look at this cute cat over here. Aren't you trying to be a YouTube famous kitty? Huh? You trying to be a YouTube famous kitty? Yeah. 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 So that might be when I jump into Python. I did some Python in college. I've done some Python courses. Just in the immediate future. Nothing that's on the horizon. I fully plan on sticking with JavaScript, but if there ever comes a point in time where I want to transition to something else, which can happen, right? I've talked to iOS developers who used to do front end and they just want to do something new, and blockchain or data science would probably be where I would go. I did try the slide at my job, yes. It's fast. It was surprisingly fast. I am familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, yes. Thank you for the contract to hire video. Took the risk and left my first full-time dev job for a bigger opportunity with Turner. Nice. Well, I hope that works out for you. You know, contract to hire is a very common practice in this field. A lot of it is, can we actually work with this person much longer? Or, like, can we work with this person long term? And a lot of times they just don't know until 6 months in. Well, usually they'll know after a month, but the contract to hire part's usually about 6 months. First full-time web dev wasn't much of a dev job. It was more of a webmaster role. Did you do WordPress? It's so funny you say that, because I have a video coming out comparing, saying, should you be a WordPress developer? And I make a very good point about how when we look up the skill set WordPress, specifically the skill WordPress, and you look up the other skills, you'll notice that half the jobs on there are not actual developer jobs. So I get questions about WordPress all the time, but I finally wanted to do a video about it. So we have some good videos coming out this week. I really like the videos coming out. We have the WordPress video I just discussed. We have I'm turning 30 on, I want to say it's Wednesday. And so I have a video talking about the 5 things that I wish I knew as a younger man, or I could tell my younger self. And then I have the video showcasing why you should never do an unpaid internship. So if you guys, I highly encourage you to check all that out. Yeah, I won't take any PHP jobs either. I did some contract work recently in PHP, and it reminded me how much I hated PHP. Even though I was getting compensated very well, it's something I don't ever plan on doing again, I think. It's just not worth it. Top 3 PC games at the moment. Although I haven't played PC games in quite some time, or I haven't played games really in quite some time, if I were, I would say League of Legends, for my personal favorites, would be League of Legends, would be definitely in, this is in no particular order, but League of Legends, I love Civilization, although I like Civilization 5, probably the best, so Civilization, and then you could throw in interchangeably Warcraft, although I haven't played Warcraft in like a decade. I loved Warcraft, but if I had to play a more recent one that I would play would probably be XCOM or XCOM 2. I haven't played Breath of the Wild yet. No, I don't have a Nintendo Switch, man. I purposely go out of my way not to play games, guys. So I'm not quite there yet. Thanks. As a softcore developer, that's a new term. I haven't heard that, but that's cool. As someone learning development, the only languages I know are SQL, Visual Basic, and recently Python, Basic HTML, and JavaScript. If I want to do web development, should I stick with Python and go Django? If you're going to do Python, you definitely probably want to go Django. If you're going to do PHP, you want to do Laravel. If you're going to do JavaScript, you're going to want to pick up probably a front-end framework like Angular or React, maybe some Node. It just kind of depends. Have I ever played Myst? No. Since I've been working at this new company, have you seen them bring in any new devs? I know they're interviewing for roles, but they have not brought any. I am the newest hire, to my knowledge. No, I take it back. They have hired somebody. So yes, they have. I just remembered right now. I talked with them recently about graphics cards at a new hire mixer that they put on. I got the hand on the mic again? No, I got it off. Who do I have winning? TJ versus Cody Garbrandt? I don't really know. I think that's going to be a pretty close match. I would like TJ Dillashaw to lose. I would say that Cody, since this is just logic that doesn't really make sense, but even MMA analysts will say they'll base their knowledge off this, even though it doesn't mean anything. But since Dominic Cruz beat TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt beat Dominic Cruz convincingly, I will say that if I were to throw my money on it, I would definitely go on Cody Garbrandt. That would be my bet. Hey, Stinker. How experienced do I need to be a QA tester? Not very. A lot of QA is documentation, writing tests, creating acceptance criteria. It's one of the roles that sometimes they offer to devs who aren't really quite ready to be developers. It's definitely an entry-level position most of the time, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm making generalizations in this, but these would be generalizations I think most people would make. What you doing, buddy? Say hi. Say hi to the YouTubes. I considered taking a QA role, but luckily I never got interviewed. A lot of QA roles I feel like go to recent college grads, and I never got interviewed for any roles. I think if I stayed at my technology trainer role, I probably would have gone to QA. How long did it take you to get through the front end portion of Free Code Camp? It wasn't my only learning tool, but I would say that it took me probably about 9 months from start to finish. 9 months to a year. Yeah. Is Florida still in shambles from the hurricane? It's funny. Certain areas, yes, but not really. Like some roofs are missing shingles. There's like trees that have been cut up that are still on the side of the road. You got an offer for QA, so you're just wondering. I would say don't worry about it too much. But sometimes people get pigeonholed into QA and they didn't want it and they just wanted their foot in the door. So just make sure you're working outside of work if that's not where you want your career to go. Bitcoin mining, any more videos on it? Maybe. A lot of people gave me a lot of shit for sharing the BitPetite one, but we'll see. Bitcoin's doing great, man. I almost have one full Bitcoin. I have like 0.86 Bitcoins. What are you doing, Stink? Oh, buddy. Daddy got your belly. Daddy got your belly. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, I also have Ethereum and Litecoin. Oops. How do you manage stress? This is a very interesting question. Because it comes and goes, right? So the first thing that I know that for me on how I make sure to keep my stress level down is I don't have commitments. And what I mean by that is I don't have financial obligations. I don't have things that I have to be at other than work, and I eliminate those. So I hate committing to things that require me to be somewhere when, like, I'd rather just do what I want to do. So for me, that helps manage my stress. Now, if there's something that is stressing me out, I go and tackle it. I find that I personally, and I think a lot of people do this, just think about things too much on the back burner and never actually tackle the problem. So, like, if you're worried about money, a lot of people will just be worried about money the rest of their life. Go and get more money. Think about it, figure it out. Get a better job, stop worrying. That's so I was always worried about money, and I'm still worried about money, but I don't have the same worries. I'm worried about how I can have more money to buy a house, not about how I'm going to have enough money to feed myself in April. But I try to eliminate the things that stress me out, and I say this a lot about my fears and about other people's fears, is oftentimes the anticipation is the worst part. So if you actually just tackle whatever it is that's stressing you out or whatever it is that's making you anxious, it's a lot better than not doing it, and just even if you fail at it, you'll feel much better. So that would be that'd be my advice. You still broke after purchasing a house, Kevin? I know. I actually went and looked at places today. I wasn't too impressed with what we looked at. Is the hype around Disney World real? We haven't actually gone. I took April to Universal Studios. I can tell you the price ticket of $165 to go to Universal Studios is quite real. Quite real at $165. That doesn't count food. That doesn't count parking. Oh my god. I spent like half a month of rent for like 6 hours in Universal Studios. It's crazy. Who did I dislike going? Why did I dislike going to college? Particularly the curriculum. I also disliked that most of the teachers did not care. So there are two teachers I remember very clearly that I enjoyed, and both of them were ex-students. But there's a lot of, hey, we don't really care if you pass or if you succeed. And I'm not saying to make the courses easier or anything like that. I'm just saying they just don't care. A lot of the professors were people who were just there to get a check outside of their normal job, or they were professors who this was their full-time job, and they really just didn't give a fuck about you. And that was something I really hated. But I also just hated the theory aspect of it. I've always been one of those people that enjoyed practical things, and you know, I'm sure a bunch of computer science people would disagree with me that a computer science degree isn't practical, and it's just theory based. That's why you have so many computer science students that graduate who still can't write lines of code. So that was, I mean, for me personally, that was probably the thing that I hated the most about it. Probably the structure. I don't know, man. I was just really unhappy in school, and I don't know if I kind of think I kind of just wish I got an easier degree, not necessarily because I don't think I could finish, but because I was working 40 hours a week, and I know people do this, but I just couldn't at the time. But the theory aspect was probably the worst. The 15 math classes and calculus and the 4 physics courses, all this sort of stuff that really just didn't have any business being in it. And very little coding. I thought I was going to be doing a lot more coding. Spend $250 to clean your car, but I bet you got $250 worth of meat off that deer, so it kind of canceled out. You know what I'm saying? So my cats would be eating deer for a month if I ran over a deer. I just throw the carcass on some tinfoil and let them chew on it. Huh. Sometimes you forget that these guys are vicious little killers. We used to let them go outside, and they would just come back with lizards in their mouth and eat them instantly. Like, literally walk in with a lizard, half of its body hanging outside their mouth. And then they come in and they go and they're like, hey, let's cuddle. After they get done eating the lizard, and by the way, they don't just eat the lizard, they play with it and torture it for their entertainment, and then maybe they eat it after. And then they go and after they've just murdered this smaller animal, and then they come back to you like nothing's changed, and they're like, hey, can you pet me? I feel like a good cat. So cats are very strange when you think of them like that. This guy right here has no problem murdering lizards every day of the week. You're a dirty lizard murderer. You're a dirty lizard murderer. Oh, Daddy got you. Oh, Daddy get you. Oh, Daddy get you. You better knock it off. Okay. Anyhow. I should write articles on Steemit. Maybe. I mean, I wonder why no one ever talks about Java plus Spring for web development. That's because no one likes Java or Spring, except major corporations that use it. If you've ever worked in Java, and my college coursework was in Java, I could tell you that it was awful. But I can agree with you that there is a lot of money in Java and the Spring framework that goes with it. So it just kind of depends. Kevin, you can't make Java fun. How important is having communication skills? It's extremely crucial, especially when you're trying to get your foot in the door. Being able to formulate a sentence and be able to not come across super awkward in a field of awkward people will not only help you rise to the top, it will also allow you to get hired. You're oftentimes working on teams of 5 or 6, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less on the company, and you need to be able to work with other people, and that innately requires communication. Communication is the #1 soft skill of any job. It is also the #1 soft skill of being a developer, period, and it's something that you need to improve upon. Thoughts on PHP? I'd rather stick my dick in a blender than write in PHP. No, I'm not a fan. That might have been a little too much, but I'm not a fan. It's just a weird, dirty language. I did about 9 months of it at my last work, and I really didn't like it. I tried to, man. I really did. I kind of blame the fact that we're using a cake PHP framework with it instead of something like Laravel, but I'm not a fan. I really did try to like it. I just couldn't. When you were first learning code, did you ever feel like giving up? If so, what did you do to get over that hump? Well, this is kind of a two-part answer. When I was in school, I definitely felt like it. It's hard because here I am in this, spending time and money enrolled in a CS program that I'm not enjoying, and the only part I enjoy are the coding classes, which is maybe 1/5 of the program. So I find that I like coding, but I don't like getting a computer science degree. And so there are times where I thought about giving up, and that just kind of was 1 and 1. I never really thought of giving up the goal of being a developer. Obviously, I gave up on going on finishing my degree. But I could say when I made the decision to drop out, start working, even if I was just doing technical documentation, I studied every day for many hours and a ton on the weekend, and I never gave up once there. There's a conversation I've quoted a couple times with April where when I dropped out and she came over and she's like, what's your game plan? At what point do you give up on being self-taught and going this developer way? Not from a negative standpoint, but from a, hey, I want to be practical. At what point do you say, you know what, I need to go back to school? And to me, it wasn't ever a question. It's just like, I will grind until I get there. And it took me 9 months from when I stopped going to school to get my first full-stack developer role. That was a little over a year ago, maybe a year and 3 months. But when I made the decision to stop going to school, there is no giving up at that point. You are making the adult decision to change your course in life. And were there days that I didn't want to code? Of course there was. There's days that I'm tired. There's days that I'm stressed. There's days that are harder than others, right? There's days that you're feeling like a loser. And that was, I had those, April on those days would tell me that, I'm not, and those were the hard ones. Those were the hard ones when you are feeling just like you're not where you want to be in life. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You can't go and get your wisdom teeth taken out that are infected because you don't have any money. You're borrowing $20 from your mom. Your mom's bringing you groceries. This is why I was working as a technology trainer, and you're living in this shithole shack, basically, of a room, and things are rough. And so there's always those days. But when I wanted to when I made the decision, there was no going back, and it was that simple. What was the alternative? Was the alternative not to and do technical writing? That wasn't an alternative for me. No, FinTech, you're right. I agree with you on PHP. I have a couple podcasts that are getting recorded right now. I'm actually going to film one with Ricky pretty soon. I filmed one with Tyler McGinnis. That will be going out, so look forward to that. We'll see what I end up calling it. I mean, I can tell you, Kevin, that I've worked in PHP and I don't like it. And I think most people would agree with the statement that it is. But it is fair to say that maybe I haven't used it enough, and I don't enjoy it. So I have to agree to disagree with you on that one. Why didn't you just get an information systems degree instead? I'm finishing up my junior year at the point that I dropped out. Am I going to change my degree? And also, you're talking to someone who is so miserable that even though you have all the family supporting you and wanting you on this path, I didn't want to be there. And I was so done mentally about it that it was like finish the degree or drop out. There's no other. If I change my degree, I have another 2 years added on, right? So, how often do I write complete full stack code? Well, my last role was full stack. Now I'm front end, so not too often in the last 5 weeks. But at my last role for the last year, I did some full stack contract work a week ago. No, I did get. So guys, I did get the wisdom teeth out. Teeth are all good, man. I got the braces. We're all in the clear on that stuff. I'm just telling you. Where my mind was at that point in time. Have I ever met anyone that's a CSS/SCSS specialist? No. I'm sure they're out there. But I have not. Is FileZilla any good? I don't know. What's up, buddy? You're hanging out with the dads. Oh. Oh. Crazy cat. Do I offer... Sorry, guys. Do I offer one-on-one mentoring? Says Joshua Covington. I do, but it's in hour increments, and it is $90 for an hour. So part of the reason I do these live streams is so that I can answer your questions, because that is a lot of money for most people in the world. So it's not something that everyone can afford. Just so little time. So if it is something you're interested in, you can shoot me an email. You can go to codingtutorials360.com and see it on there. If you want to talk to somebody, whether they found it helpful or not, David Yang in chat has taken one of my mentoring sessions, and so he can. either vouch for me, or he can say, God, man, Dylan really just took... I think when I did it with David, it was 75. Just, damn, man, Dylan robbed me blind of my $75. Yeah, so I try to do my best to help you guys out with the channel, but if I did mentoring for everybody, I would be doing it, I'd be doing it 8 hours a day for free, hence the 90. So if you're interested in something like that, you can definitely find out the details on the website, and we'll set something up. Remember my name, first name code, last name God. Yeah, just look for, if you go to codingtutorials360.com, you'll see a tutor session. There'd basically just be a button that you click, and that will send you to basically prepay on PayPal, and then shoot me an email. Or you can shoot me an email at dylansemail310@gmail.com, and let me know what it is that you're talking about, because I don't want you to book, or I don't want you to book something and then I have to refund you because you want me to give you an in-depth breakdown of C++, and I don't do C++. So, what happened to your home/office? Nothing, man. I'm just sitting down. Just hanging out with the Tito. Yeah, so I've just been staring at computer screens for a while the last couple days, and just a different, you know, you get a different perspective from me. So you get to get it on the phone for the next day or so. Trying just to, it allows me to pace also. So if, you guys don't know this, but I am a horrible pacer. I pace that around the house all the time. Oh, Dularm says, big inspiration. Got my first dev job this year. Donates $2. Super chats $2, I think is the technical term. Thank you, man. Congratulations on your first dev job, man. That's the big one. That's the hard one. I mean, they're all good ones, but oops. Oh, as you can see, I'm not fully skilled with holding the phone yet, as I keep on dropping down. But as I was saying, congratulations on landing your first web dev job, man. It always feels... I was so excited for you that I just dropped the phone, man. Pure excitement. Mic drop. Yeah, mic drop. That's right, baby. But congratulations, and thank you for the support, man. That's really cool. I don't ever expect anyone to financially support, but I love it when you do. One second. We're going to change the pace real quick. So I got some new things I'm doing in the videos. I hope you guys are going to like. I'm trying at the end of the video to throw in like a 5 to 10 second joke that's related to the video. So make sure you guys are watching till the end. I have it in the WordPress video so far, and I have it in the unpaid internship video. The video about the 5 things I wish I knew coming out this week, I didn't put it in there because I already made that video and uploaded it before I came up with this idea. But look forward to that. Silicon Valley. God, wouldn't that be cool, man? You know what? This is how big of a Silicon Valley fan I am. And this was before their recent season. I haven't actually watched. But I sent them an email, said, hey, is there any way I could be an extra on your show? I will fly out and put myself in there just for the fun of it, like that would be so cool to me. Just a little small coding channel extra, walk by in a scene or something. Naturally, they didn't hit me back, but that would have been so excited. What do you think about Codecademy Intense Pro front-end dev course for 10 weeks? I would say that I think I'd be very skeptical of anything that doesn't have any ratings on it. And who, when they were doing this program before, I think it was under a different name at that point, but it was a very misleading title, and the subject was poor. I would say that your money's probably better spent doing Udacity or Udacity Nano Degree or Udemy course. That's what I believe. I mean, you can go. I have 2 videos actually talking about the program, and I can tell you that why you watch those. I'll tell you why I thought they were poor, but you can also read the comments of people who took them who will agree with you. Who most of the time will say, you know, I took this and it was awful. Yeah, I'm not a super big fan of that, what they're trying to do recently. Not that I don't have anything to do with that. I paid for the React Now degree program for $300. I just think that they could be doing a much better job than they are. I don't know. I did a video recently talking about their Alexa course and a little bit of a rant about a bit of a rant about how I think Codecademy is failing. That might be something worth watching if you're considering it. But I think your $200 is much better spent on $10, $20 courses on Udemy or Udacity. Excuse me, on Udemy. I mean, free code camp's great if you're just trying to get started. I think it's great for JavaScript. There's nothing wrong with, and by the way, I say this not to tell you to do one or the other. I encourage you to do them all. If you do them all, you'll be in a much better position down the road. How many actual projects did I have when I started applying for jobs? I want to say it was 5 or 6. One was my YouTube channel. One was a Angular version of the weather application. One was a jQuery Twitch API project. One was my website. One was a hackathon project. And then one was another free code camp project, depending on what time and place. So that was kind of what I had on there. Yeah, Joshua, I mean, you're a network security guy. There's nothing wrong with going into DevOps. There's good money in that and good job demand. And if that's a skill set you already have, it might be something worth considering. Engineer Truth's trying to call me. the hell? I told him I'd call him back in 20 minutes. He says I'll be in class. What class is he taking, man? He did tell me he joined a cult recently. So, so I got lucky, is what black guy is saying here. Can't get a job, I know back end too. Well, I mean, it could depend on the quality of your projects. It could depend on your communication skills and everything else. I mean, if someone came in and could code but had a negative attitude, I wouldn't hire him, and I'd recommend he not get hired. How much time do I spend coding per day? Well, I spend 40 hours a week getting paid to do it, and I probably do about 10 hours a week on my own. Not as much as I used to. A lot of my time gets chewed up by YouTube. A lot of my time gets chewed up by side projects. Podcasts, emails, talking to sponsors, trying to do that type of stuff. So I've been focused more on YouTube than I have been on actually coding, and it's something I want to switch up in the near future. What do you say to people that say that the tech industry will be saturated in 10 years and that people today shouldn't get into it? I would say, what are the alternatives? You're talking about... I would also say that you're probably not looking at the numbers, right? So, one of the growing faster than the average, large amount of jobs, very high salary, and that what do you want? It's a fast growing salary. It's growing faster than the average jobs. There's a lot of jobs. What's the alternative? It's just people it's just people worrying, in my opinion. There aren't that many jobs. If you look at it, most of the YouTube coders are freelancers. What? There are a ton of jobs. It's just hard to get your first job. How did I study 12 hours a day? I used to study 12 hours a day when I wasn't working as a developer. And I don't actually think that's true, by the way, that most of YouTube coders are freelancers. I think most of them probably worked for corporations and decided that when they could, they would work for themselves. Guys, there's plenty of jobs out there. I actually just had the random experience. So I've never really worked with recruiters before, but I've probably talked with about 20 since when I was looking for work, and they all saw recently that I updated my LinkedIn. So I got within a week about 5 or 10 voicemails trying to steal me you know, hey Dylan, this is Tasha. Just want to let you know I saw that you updated your LinkedIn, so it sounds like you found something. Just want to make sure you're happy, and if there's anything I can do for you, you know, I'm not trying to steal you away, Dylan. I just want to let you know what's going on the market out there, and just so that you're informed for yourself. And I'm just like, I don't know what you want from me, man. But that was I've had in this last week or two about 5 or 10 of those. How do you know when you're ready to get a developer job? The example I always give is when you open up a text editor and you can start a project. And you just start building. If you can do that, you're probably pretty solid. Did Chris Sean get hacked? I don't think so. Someone said that. I think he just took down his video the other day. But I checked his channel last night when someone said that. How much caffeine do you consume a day? I have an espresso usually, and then I'll have some black tea, so not that much. I've been trying to cut back. Although if I look extra tired, and I'm looking at myself, it looks like I am extra tired. It's because I am cutting back on my caffeine, so it's just taking a wear and tear on me for the weekend. Also, April snores a lot, and if I can't sleep because of the snoring, I'll go sleep on the couch, and that's happened 3 times this week. Would you say tech industry is like every other engineering major? You can't get enough, except civil engineering will always be in demand because infrastructure always needs to be improved. Mahar, I would say that if you look at the growth of all the engineering, if you take all the other engineering disciplines and add the job growth, it is still like 20% of what is in software engineering. So if you consider those things great opportunities, then the computer science software engineering aspect should be god tier in terms of that. So Maher, I recently put out a video saying, should you get a computer science degree? Go and watch that video when you get a second, man. A lot of these questions will be answered, and we'll be going over that. So HTML, CSS, BootStrap, jQuery is good enough for junior developer position. My JavaScript is still questionable. Maybe at some places. I would probably recommend you pick up Angular or React. Are many software engineers hired from overseas? A certain percent is. I don't know what many is, though. Like, what defines many? Is it possible to get a data science job without... What is that? Without a degree, like learn at home? Self-taught? It's probably possible, but it's definitely going to be harder because in that role you need a lot of math, which typically just comes with. I imagine there's math courses on Udemy, but it's probably going to be a little bit harder than maybe front end or back end development. If you just want some projects, first off, I would always suggest starting a long-term project, but if you just want something on your resume, build a portfolio site to start, and then build some stuff that you're interested in, build something that build a basic CRUD application for something that you would use. I think that would be probably your best case, because it sounds like you haven't done a put or a get or a post or delete. Like, these are the things that you're going to need to be somewhat familiar with. Is it hard for you to get down how state works in React? No, not really. Yeah, I mean, So Joshua, you're talking about DevOps, which it sounds anything you're talking about deployment, networking, it's DevOps. So servers. Sounds good, Joshua. Just let me know. Shoot me an email. We'll set up a time and we can talk. Same thing with you, Neoteric Phoenix. If you want to dive one-on-one, we can book a mentoring and I can kind of help you. We can look at your resume. We can look at your GitHub. We can look at your LinkedIn, cover letter. Talk about what projects you can get started on. These are usually a lot of the topics that we cover when I do mentoring, because those are the things that you can start changing today. You have $1,000. Where would you invest it? Bitcoin. I would invest it into Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum or Litecoin, but most likely Bitcoin, or spread it out between all three. That was fast. Well, I invest money every paycheck. I currently have money invested in the stock market. I have money invested in peer-to-peer lending. I also have money invested in cryptocurrencies. And I am of the belief that Bitcoin will go to 25,000 within 2 years. Go where to book mentoring. It's $90 for an hour, if you didn't hear that earlier. But you can shoot me an email. Make sure that I can... I guess we already talked about your topics. I think I can help you. But you just go to my website, codingtutorials360.com. You'd prepay there, and then shoot me an email, and we can set up a time. That's all. Did I pull an all-nighter when you were learning to code? All the time. I don't advise it, but I did do it all the time. I was sleep deprived for a very long time, which is why I don't do it anymore. I actually get 8 to 9 hours every night. Although my sleep has been messed up because I fell off the train and I started drinking energy drinks and doing all that. Sounds like I could mentor in investing as well. I could definitely talk to you about the basics of peer-to-peer lending. I could talk to you about the basics of the stock market. I could talk to you about the basics of cryptocurrencies. I don't claim to be an investment guy, but I am learning. I could talk to you about the importance of not having a savings account and instead having money in things like Acorns or Betterment as your savings account, which have a 5-day withdrawal period, but earn you, in some cases, up to 5 times to 35 times back the amount of interest for essentially the same functionality. So I could talk to you about that. But it's all relative, right? So if you're just getting started with investing, I could definitely explain to you some concepts, but it's something that I'm constantly educating myself on. So I wouldn't say I'm an investment whiz by any stretch of the imagination, but I do watch a couple investment channels on the daily. I would encourage you guys, if you want some really good high quality content, to watch the Business Insider on YouTube. It's an amazing channel. Oh, you got it. Alright guys, I'll stay on for about 5 more minutes, so if there's anybody who's holding out a good question, now is the time. I'm getting a little sleepy. And then I'll end on my final thoughts. But if I'll take 1 or 2 more questions, and then we're going to call it a night for Saturday Night Weekly. with the night live streams. Hopefully, some of you guys who I'm trying to make an effort to do these at night, which is why I did one last night. It's definitely not because I'm too busy. It's because I did it for y'all. No, one thing I would say, I feel bad because I know a lot of people are in different time zones. Okay, so this will be the last question, then I'll do my final thoughts. I just enrolled in a React Now degree. Do you have any advice for me to get the most out of it? Yes, I highly encourage you to get familiar with ES6, and I also encourage you to work on it every day. They have the extracurricular courses. I would encourage you to, and I have 2 videos on the React Now degree, watch those. But I would also say that just treat it like a job, man. Put in your 2 hours a day, every day, regardless how tired you are, and start with the extracurricular and knock that out as fast as you can, and then jump into the React Now degree. If I understand a Rick and Morty joke, can I be a developer? One-on-one for 40 hours is like 3K. Yeah. With me, it'd be $3,600. Yeah. Okay, guys. So the way that I like to end my live streams is I like to in honor of Jerry Springer. I'd like to give you all my final thoughts. So, what do we want to talk? Let's discuss our final thoughts about a few things right now. Recently we were talking about being afraid of things, and someone in chat said, "What is my response to people who say in 10 years the field's going to be oversaturated, and it's going to be we're all just wasting our time because there's going to be a million people." And so a lot of times, if you can make yourself afraid in life, there's definitely a way. I'm not saying that there's... My issue with a lot of people in this world is that they want to believe the worst will always happen, even if you're showing that the best is what's happening. So specifically, if you're entering a field that has high growth, it has a very high barrier of entry in terms of technical skill, and it has a lot of jobs, and you're worried that this thing that's hard to get into, that is growing very rapidly with no signs of slowing down, that you're going to be out of a job before you even start, is a very unrealistic fear to have. And I say that because if it was a realistic fear, I would have no problem telling you. Like, I'm already okay. I have experience. I'm in the field. I would have no problem telling you, hey, watch out, y'all. Like, but my point I'm trying to make is not to answer that specific critique, but to say that when you have facts and you have stats to answer these questions that are worrying you, and even if you get the right answers, or if you see the facts and they say this is what's happening and you just want to ignore them, you can, it's fine. There's a bunch of people who believe the earth is flat also. So you don't have to exactly ignore, you don't always have to believe the facts. You can just yell fake news, but you're only going to shoot yourself in the foot in the process. So my point is this, is that when you have a very clear-cut thing, and that is about as clear-cut as any field is, in terms of the 3 main things: job growth, salaries, amount of jobs. All 3 of those are doing very well and growing. So why would you be worried about that? There's a million different things that you could be worried about that actually make sense. That's not one. So what I'm trying to say is try and focus your energy on the issues that are real issues, and not just being paranoid about things like the earth being flat, right? So anyhow, that's my 2 cents, guys. try and just, when you get good news, accept that it's good. Verify, trust but verify. But don't worry about things. And if you want to be negative, there's always going to be a way to be negative. And I'm not saying be woefully optimistic where it's causing issues, but you can always look and find anything that you don't want if you look hard enough, and you can always just not believe what you see. So have a nice night, guys. I appreciate you showing up. See you in the next day, and tune in for the videos of next week. Bye, guys.